Hi, everyone. It's Ben's Business Podcast. We're back again. I'm here with Lewis Crompton from STARTrading. I was trying to work that one out, start or star, because he's got the all in capitals and there's no double T. So Lewis is an investor, a Forex trader, and an educator. He has a background with training and a speaker for Rich Dad Education. Yep. So I did a bit of research, and you know Zeshin, he told me about that as well. So I got some inside information.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
Yeah. We met up in Scotland just, he's moving back down to England. So we had a wee walk together on Sunday. And you're also a coach, and you teach people what you've learned about trading and your STARTrading workshops and courses.
Yeah.
So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself rather than me do
it? Sure. Yeah. I'll try not to an elevator pitch, but I'll do my best. Yeah. So yes. My name is Lewis Crompton. I am 32 years old, sadly 33 next month. So yeah, I have a midlife crisis every year that it gets towards my birthday, but hey ho. I've been trading financial markets for over 8 years, teaching for over 6 years, and I got involved in property investment about 6 years ago as well. So I took the profits I made from trading and I started using those profits to invest in other asset classes like property, also watches, also nice big bits of art as well, and also business. So I also have my own business, looking into stuff like that as well. So always want to make my money do more than just sit in the bank. That's kind of my passion. I enjoy living a fairly simple life, although I do love to travel. So most of my spending, if it's not on investments, is in food or in traveling. Those are what I spend my money on. So I've created a community of people called the STARTrading community, STARTrading gang, where we teach people how to trade financial markets, whether that's any financial market. If it's got a set of candles, if it's got a chart, we can teach you to trade it in less than 30 minutes a day. And if you're UK based, then we'll show you how to do that tax-free as well. So yeah, quite fun stuff. And I took kind of what I learned when I was teaching for Rich Dad Education, and kind of condensed it down, took it to like a different place and sped up the process. And that's what we call the STARTrading methodology, is what allows people to trade for less than 30 minutes a day, really low risk, but high reward. And we've been running that training, that mentorship, that community for a little bit over 3 years now, with loads and loads of successful traders doing stuff and changing lives. So that's what we like, to change people's lives for the better. That's what we're about.
That sounds really good. And could you, firstly explain how you and I met? I think I took one of your mini courses that you did with Ken, and yes, that was how I would say I connected with you. I'm not sure if we knew each other before. If we knew each other,
we met once before that at a networking event in London.
The M&A networking. I thought that's where we met before. I couldn't quite recall if that we've met online or in person, because it's almost the same now these days.
I could not tell. Loads of my friends who I've made over the past 2 years, I don't know where we first met. Was it online? Was it in person?
Yeah.
Who knows anymore? Nobody knows.
Yeah. And I also say that Lewis is a bit of a comedian as well. He always makes me laugh. It's there's definitely, you get a bit of that with along with the training.
Yeah, you've got to be fairly lighthearted about something which can be quite dry and quite serious. I think we like to make it as fun as possible, which is why we have a community element to that as well. So yes, what we do on a technical level is fantastic, but it could be very dry. So we try to just make it as entertaining as possible.
Yeah. I think that's important. I do internet-based stuff and search engine optimization, and without some fun and added to that, it can be all work, no play.
Yeah, and I definitely prefer play to work. So
so I've shared this into my Ben's Business Book Club and into my other groups. So if you've got any groups as well, Lewis, or you share it onto your own profile, and then we can get some live viewers. And if anyone's watching live and have any questions revolved around what we're talking about today, about trading, crypto as well, and Forex, anything to do with investing, then Lewis is your man. So please ask away in the comments and we'll make sure we engage back with you.
Yeah. I've shared it into my my Facebook group as well. So that's going on in there too.
Yeah. So we've got a few live viewers. So yeah, let us know who's watching and any questions you have. So let's move on. So I think the first thing is like, what would be, if someone was to come on board with you, have you got an example of like some case studies of people who have spent that couple of hours a day or a half an hour a day and some examples of results, just to like let people see what's possible with just a side hustle and trading? I find that really interesting.
Yeah, completely. Well, I suppose first of all, I'm a case study, so my journey, and I'll talk about other people as well. My journey was, I started, like I said, over 8 years ago. Paid a heck of a lot of money to get trained. I took out a credit card and a personal loan, which I was paying 15.4% interest on, or something crazy like that. Those were the good old days when I didn't understand money properly, and made, in one sense, poor decisions, but in another sense, I'm glad I took that decision because it led me to having the life that I have now, which I love and I'm very happy with. And it all happened because of trading. And so I was interested in learning how to trade because I wanted to be able to leave my job. I was working retail at the time. I'd worked my way up from the shop floor into the head offices of a retail chain. And I just realized that it was going to be the same old shit basically every day for the rest of my life. And like my boss's boss was only earning 50k a year, and I was like, that's not good enough for me. I want more than that. I don't want to work like a dog for 15 years to then only end up on 50k. I'm not happy about that. So I decided to look for something else, and I wanted something which was kind of fed into that digital nomad culture where I could be anywhere in the world, I could travel, and I could still make money. And trading for me was the perfect combination. It was low time commitment and it was high reward, and I could be anywhere in the world. So that's why I got started. So I paid all that money to learn how to do it properly and learn how to do it safely. And then 7 months later, I quit my job, and I started trading full time, and I started traveling the world. So that was my story. And then from there, I got headhunted by Robert Kiyosaki's brand Rich Dad Poor Dad, and asked to do some teaching and some training for them, which I did. And then what I would do, which is quite fun, is whilst I was traveling around different parts of the world, I'd find out if they had training events on, and I'd go and speak at those training events. Okay. So I got to like link up the different things, which was really good fun. Met some amazing people, some incredible people, met some property investors, which is how I then decided to get involved in property as well. And that's kind of where it snowballed for me. But all of those opportunities came from taking a chance, taking a risk, investing in myself and learning how to trade. And that's the same for anybody in my community now. They've taken a chance. They've given themselves the opportunity. They've given themselves the best possible scenario and connections and support to be able to make a success at this thing called trading. And we've got a whole community of loads of people who are successful, who are making money through their trading. One example, I'll talk about Dan, because I was chatting to him yesterday, and he actually did a mini testimonial for us. Yeah, I've got an event running at the moment in the evening, and he did a little testimonial for us. And he basically doubled his money that he started with. Well, let me step back. So he tried trading and tried teaching himself how to trade for about 6 years before finding me. Okay. When he found me, I wasn't taking on students, so he waited for 2 years before I actually started taking on students. Took on students, and he jumped in, got mentored, took him through the process, taught him the STARTrading method. And he'd been on other courses and things before, but could never make it work for him. Yeah. Started making it work for himself based off of what he was learning with STARTrading. And then in the next 15 to 18 months, he doubled his money. And then he had to pay off some debts with that. And then he started again, again, 15, 20 months later, doubled his money because of trading, and then paid off all of his debt. So he's literally changed his life and is now debt free because of the skill set that he learned through trading. And so that is, for me, what we're about. We're about empowering people to make money, make more money, and what that then allows them to do with their life in terms of the freedom, in terms of the choice, in terms of the financial stability and the financial security that then brings. So yeah, he's absolutely smashed it, but he's not alone in the community in terms of people who have smashed it and done an amazing job. So for example, another guy, one of our guys based in South Africa, in his first month trading, he went live after, I think, 4 months, I think it was. In his first month trading live, he made 14%. So that's 14% in 1 month. Now, if anybody knows what they're getting in the bank or from most other forms of investment, you know that is an absolutely insane level of return, especially if you can make that consistent.
Yeah.
Now, we tend to say that our students should be aiming for between 5% and 10%. So he smashed that out of the park in his first month. He's now probably more consistent at around the 6-7% per month.
Okay.
And that is not an uncommon story for our students who are following our methods and trading using our strategies. So yeah, and again, he's not an isolated case. There's loads of people. You've got Mark, you've got Dan, you've got Vig, you've got Charlotte, you've got Sandy, you've got loads of people who are successfully trading.
Yeah.
But I think this conversation I was having with a student this morning, actually, one of my mentees, and they're asking the question of success. And I said, well, you are successful, but they don't feel like they are. And the reason they don't feel like they're successful is because their measure of success is maybe this level of percentage return every single month.
Okay.
Whereas they're still successful even if they're trading at this level of percentage return, because it's still profit. So everyone's measure of success within our community is slightly different in terms of what they're aiming for. Mm-hmm. Some people are happy with 2% per month. Some people aren't happy until they hit 15% per month. Doesn't mean that you're not successful by the definition of being a profitable trader. They're just not necessarily at the level of success that they want to be just yet, but they're still working towards it. So I always find that the question of success quite an interesting one.
Yeah, it's subjective, really, and I think, it's a level of your own realization of your own potential as well.
Yeah, and that changes over time.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of success. Like, oh, I can do this, and then you have a little bit more, and I can probably achieve a bit more than this, and then so on and so on, and it grows and it grows and it grows. I think partly and I'm just about to say problem, but I don't necessarily mean problem. I think part of the process quite naturally is maybe it's an age thing, maybe it's a whatever thing, maybe it's just an inbuilt thing, but you can reach a certain point of success and growth where you then don't want to stretch out of your comfort zone. You become comfortable, and people slam that and hammer that as if you're in the personal development world and the that type of place. I don't have a problem with that. If people are happy when they've got to a certain level, why force them to have to keep going out their comfort zone? If you're the type of person who's never satisfied and never happy, and you're constantly going to be growing and pushing yourself out the comfort zone, fine, but let people be happy, for goodness sake. If they're happy in their sphere that they're currently in, and the level of growth that they've got and the level of success that they've got, let them be happy. I'm not happy in that space. I always want to grow, always want to continue. And that's where I'm happy being unhappy, if that makes sense, in some weird twisted way. I always want to grow and to develop. So that's, but let people be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's about self-awareness and being able to know what you need to do for yourself. And then when you're, it's comparison that makes people unhappy, or people, like you're saying, who are doing better financially, looking down on people who are not doing as well and telling them that they're doing the wrong thing. There's a big problem there, definitely. I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk. He talks a lot about that. And I seen one of your posts recently, Lewis, that I really agreed with, when you were talking about just certain things that you don't need to do anymore to be happy, and that you were you've got a level of what's important to you and what's not important to you. And I had a look at that post. I think it was about clothes and brands or something like that, maybe watches.
It was. I basically bought my second Rolex, and I suddenly went, I really do love this Rolex. I really do. It's one I've wanted for a very, very long time. Yeah. But I suddenly had it sat there, and I had both of them there, and I was just like, what does this mean? What does this actually mean? You tell yourself it's an investment, and that's why you've legitimized buying it. And in one sense, it is a form of investment. It's going to retain its value in one sense. But then I kind of think I could sell both of those watches and I could buy a house. So why would I not buy the house, which is a cash flowing asset rather than a passive asset? Like, which one would I rather have? And again, I believe in diversification. So I'm not going to sell those watches, but I kind of feel like, right, I've ticked the box of buying and owning a Rolex. Okay. I've ticked the box of buying a nice piece of art, which again will appreciate in value. However, do I need to spend my money on that? And don't get me wrong, I love art. I absolutely love it. So when I have my next house, which is bigger and has more wall space, I'll be buying some more art. I found a piece of art that I loved the other day when I was out. I took my mum out for her birthday, and I found this piece of art in a gallery, and it's a sculpture. And it's just very striking, very, very striking. And there's a lot of meaning attached to it, which I really liked, which is always how they sell art. So they never sell the actual thing, they sell the story behind it. I wanted to buy it, but it was literally the deposit of a house. And I was like, although I love it, at this point, I need to rein myself in. I probably could make myself afford it, but why do that? Again, it's a passive asset. It's not generating me anything.
So when you say passive asset, just to make sure everyone understands, because I was having a brainwave there, if that's just to make sure I understand what you mean and other people understand what you mean. Like when you say passive, it's something that's going to sit there and not make you money. It's more of a hedge again for your wealth.
Exactly.
Versus like a cash flowing asset, like a property that brings in rental income.
Exactly. Yeah. So it should hold its value and not lose value. Hence it's an asset. But it's not making you money on a month to month basis. It's not cash flowing. Yeah.
So like I think depending on what stage you are at life, you're probably better to focus on cash flow at the beginning, and then you can buy up these extra with the extra money that you have, and buy these passive ones that can just sit there like gold and art. Exactly. There's a good kind of principle around grandfathering your assets. So you buy cash flowing assets, and then you become the grandfather of the next things that you buy. So your assets then buy the next assets. And then you've grandfathered them in a way. And I really like that approach. I've definitely not followed it because I've gotten too excited. But that is, again, it's lessons learned, and it's self-development, it's self-growth, that now I've kind of done those things. If I've bought these things, I kind of realized what I actually want to be doing with my money. I mean, I had an advert go out for an event that I'm doing, which I'm currently running this week. And it's hilarious looking at the comments that people put on these things that are negative, who have no idea who you are and what you're about and the journey you've been on and all of this. And I was doing a film from my office at my house, which is in London, and it's a shed. The reality is it's a shed, because that's what I need. I just need a space separate from the house, my own mindset. And I love it. Absolutely love my shed. And so my video, which is on this advert, is me in the shed. Then I walk down the garden because I'm doing a social at my house, because that's what I do. I'm very much community driven. So I have all my students around my house. And then you can see the students in the background. And one of the comments was like, oh, look at this guy. He's in his parents' shed. Like, oh, he's really going to be successful, whatever. I was like, would this person rather I had the bullshit rented Lamborghini and like flashed 10 fake Rolexes? Would this person really think I'm more legitimate then? Or would they actually be giving me shit for that as well? And it's like, yes, my office is a shed. That's a luxury for most people, to have a separate space to work in versus their house. Also, my house is in London. It ain't cheap. Also, I have cash flowing assets all over the country. Also, I have all these other forms of investment. That's where I'd rather put my money than a fancy shed to impress you on an advert. Like, get a life. But it did make me laugh. It made me chuckle. And I went back to him with love and peace rather than anything else. It's an interesting topic, I think, that, because I'm in agreement with that whole mindset of it's a stages that we're all at, and if we're still, you and I, we're still building our own wealth in our own way, and we're not going to totally blow it on stupid things to impress others. It's just not worth it.
If you want to look at people spending and wasting money to impress other people, just go to any David Lloyd gym, and maybe the ones in London anyway. Like David Lloyd gyms in London, so overpriced for what they are, and the service is terrible. And there's people sat in the sauna with like their Rolexes on and stuff like that. And I'm just like, and having these bullshit conversations. Like I had to, honestly, I canceled my membership because I was just like, this is not a bit me. I can't be bothered to deal with these people. It's not my vibe. I have to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I think one thing you brought up about, I think we get into practical stuff, but I quite like philosophical stuff as well. So you said like tick the box. I think that's quite an important thing as well. Like when you eventually owned the Rolex, could you talk about that? Like, was it a goal that you had early on, or was it something that came up? Almost like, was it someone else's idea of success, or was it always your idea of success? And when you say you tick the box.
Yeah, really, really, really good question. And actually, if I'm honest with myself, it's probably always somebody else's idea of success. I think I always was more interested in buying my dad a watch. I've not done that yet, and don't tell him I said that because then he'll expect one. But I always like the idea of buying my dad a Rolex. But again, that's probably from some video I saw somewhere where some YouTube billionaire did that for their dad or something. But I'm more interested in buying my dad a classic car because he's always wanted a classic car. I mean, he's bought himself one now, so I'm off the hook. But that's always kind of been what I would have liked to have done. My measure of success personally, if I really think about it, way more comes down to experiencing new things and that type of materialistically, I'm not really that bothered. On a materialistic level, what I'm more interested in is space. So I would like to have a bigger house, which is detached away from people. Because I like space and I like to connect with nature. So I want to have some form of water on my property. I don't mean like taps water, I mean like a lake or a river or something like that, because that's where I feel at peace. So that from a materialistic perspective, even the materialistic thing comes down to experience for me, and having experiences and enjoying those elements. I don't get me wrong, I like wearing a Rolex, but it doesn't give me the same level of experience as sitting out on my back patio overlooking rolling hills and countryside listening to a babbling brook would give me on a daily basis. I'd much rather have that. Not that you necessarily have to choose between the two. If you really smash it or whatever you do, you could have both. But just physical possessions aren't really that much of a motivator for me at all. But I do feel like when I bought one, it was a weird experience as well because I drive a Corsa. I have no interest in buying a super fast car, super fancy car, because I barely drive. Again, I live in London. I get trains. That's what I do. I don't really need to drive. So why have a Lamborghini sat on my drive, like making myself a bit of a target and just costing all this money, and I never drive it. If I drove a lot, maybe it would be worth having one, but it's not. So it's about where do I place value in the things which I'm going to have, in the possessions that I'm looking to purchase. So really, really good question. I think a lot of that was other people's perception of success. Like my measure of success for me doesn't really come down to money either. Money is a byproduct of all the other things that I'm actually driven by: helping people, change people's lives, giving people more freedom, helping them view their situation differently and get out of negative situations. And as a result, I end up making money. So that's where my real passion is.
And it is easy for anyone to get derailed and forget that and then put money first, and then when you do that, you, like you're saying, you end up with less money when you just chase money. So it is really important. I can see that in you, what you're doing, that you do put service first, and you're actually trying to change people's lives with the trading, and that's the thing you actually are chasing, which is good to see that. So I can definitely feel that from your sort of brand in general. So it's good to see that. Lots of topics. I'm just picking one.
I throw everything at the wall in the same time, so it's always hard to pick one. But
so this idea of 30 minutes a day, I find that really interesting. Time is a big issue for a lot of people, including me. I have ways of making money and probably doubling money is in my own way. But I've been really interested in what you have to say. And I took your mini course, and I think I'm kind of that person on the fence, let's say. And there's probably a lot of other people on the fence. So if you were to explain, like, convince other people that like it literally is 30 minutes a day or an hour a day that you can put money and time into this. So I've got two questions for you and you can answer them in one order. Does it take a lump sum of money to start? And two, how much time is involved? I think I asked this question in the mini course, but it would be good to get a reminder and share that with others.
Yeah. I'll address those two questions after I kind of address the first question of how I would convince you. And the reality is there's not much I can do to convince you. It is the way it is. Like the fact is, once you know what you're doing and you've got that skill set in place, it takes you less than 30 minutes a day. Now, loads of my students didn't believe me when I first told them that. Calvin, for example, when he made 14% in 1 month, I said to him, and how long did that take you to on a daily basis to make that happen? He was like, oh, less than 30 minutes. I was like, and did you believe me when I told you that when you first started? He's like, no, I didn't. So I get why people struggle to believe it, but there's nothing I can really say to convince you. It just is what it is. And once you know what you're doing, you can get there as well. In terms of, do you need a lump sum to get started? Yes and no. I'm a big believer that you should and can start small. What people tend to worry about really comes from a mindset of putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion. So when it comes to this context, what they're doing is they're thinking about how much money to have in their account before they're thinking about having the skill in place. If you don't have the skill in place, you won't be safe out there and you will risk too much. You'll make mistakes, and whatever money you put into your account, you will blow. You will lose it. Whereas if you have the skill set in place, you have the right parameters, and that's exactly what we teach at STARTrading, then you are going to turn whatever amount of money you've got, even if it's a small amount, into a significant sum of money. Yes, it may not happen overnight or over the first month, but you will have a skill set which you keep for the rest of your life, which can make £1 into £2 into 5 into 10, and so on and so on and so on. So you don't need a lot of money to start. You can start with as little as 300, 500, 1,000. It doesn't matter how much you start with. The important thing is to focus on getting the skill set locked in, locked down, because that's the thing which will make you money.
So developing the skill, obviously that's a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life as well, because you've got that skill in place. So what is your course, and how long does it take someone who's a complete beginner to get up to scratch?
So we do 2 layers of mentorship, one which is called the launch mentorship, one which is called the platinum mentorship. The launch lasts for about 6 weeks. The platinum lasts for 6 months. If anyone's watching and you think that sounds different to what you've heard before, it's because we've changed and improved the process. That's why the timings are different. So it's the 6 weeks is absolutely fantastic. It's part of the 6 weeks is part of the 6 months. But that's like your first 6 weeks is part of that process. So it's all like a follow-on process, step by step by step. And it literally is both the mentorships are step-by-step process. The thing with the 6 month one is you have support to the next level from day one and continuing for 6 months. On the launch mentorship, you are set up with everything. It's partly mastermind style, partly one-on-one, but it's about getting you set up with the right brokers, making sure that if you're in the UK, you have a tax-free broker, showing you how to fund your account, showing you how to place live trades. The first trades you'll ever place will be with a mentor holding your hand, walking you through step by step on that process. And it's both of them are just designed to get you trading as quickly as possible. Reality is, if you're on the 6 months, you'll get there even quicker, because you also get access to a bonus strategy, which you can literally trade from your first month, and we'll show you how to do that. So that's kind of what the time frames are. Everybody should be trading live within 6 months, but even quicker and with more strategies if you're on the platinum versus just the 6 week course. 6 week mentorship.
Okay. That sounds really good. And is the 6 week And the 6 month is the 6 weeks is like that. Is that a weekly session? Yeah.
Yeah. So yes and no. So we start, first week is 1 hour, second week is 3 hours, third week is 3 hours, fourth, fifth, and sixth week are each 1 hour each week.
Okay.
But then you're doing different things on them because we're kind of rapidly stepping you through a process to get you fully set up. So you never have to do any of that setup stuff for life ever again, and showing you how to apply the knowledge you're learning on the training as well.
Yeah. Okay. And how much does the 6 week one cost?
I never give prices away because they change.
Yeah.
And we're actually about to change them as well. So they're about to go up.
Okay.
So I hate quoting numbers on anything.
No problem. No, that's fine.
To record and say, oh, you said. I was like, that was a very different time and place.
Yeah.
Very different time and place.
So get in contact with Lewis if you want to know the price.
That's the one. Yeah.
So yeah, it was just that point where you made the idea of like make money, and that's why I asked those questions about how much money do you need to then go make more money with it. But what you're saying is to build the skill, and then when you have a bit of money, you have the skill to double it basically, or do something with it. Yeah.
And then the reality is as well, like I said, trading will get you rich, but it's not a get rich quick scheme. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So if you're starting with a smaller account and you're never going to add in from that, you're only going to use compound interest to grow your account. Your progress will be slower from a financial perspective, but your skill set will still grow at the same speed. Yeah. So that's why you may as well start with a small account. And then as you grow your confidence, you just throw as much money in as you can at the point that you've got the confidence and you've got the skill set in place.
Yeah. And does this apply to Forex as well as crypto? And like the skill of trading can be across the board.
Yeah, it really is across the board.
For you, like it sounds like you're more focused on, or you're more experienced in Forex versus crypto. What to you looks different to those two, and any other different types of platforms?
Yeah, so I personally don't trade crypto, although some of my students do, partly because I'm just used to Forex. So I really do understand that market more. I can trade crypto. It's not a problem, but you have kind of a difference between two things. So you have volume and you have volatility. Volume is number of people in the market. Volatility is erraticness of that market. Okay. So Forex, people used to say it was volatile. It wasn't actually volatile. It just had high volume, and that high volume creates patterns, and you want those patterns, that movement in the market, because that creates tradable opportunities. Crypto is a younger market. Its volume is nowhere near as high as Forex. And so because of
younger
that,
market as an age,
younger market in terms of age, but also just how long it's been around.
Yeah.
So because of all of those factors, you've got this massive volatility, which it's never really settled. It's not at the point where it's settled yet. I do believe it will do in the future, but it's not there yet.
Right.
So yes, you can use the skill set that I teach to trade anything which has a market, has a chart. So stocks, shares, currencies, indexes, commodities, crypto, Forex, whatever it is you want to trade. And some of our students do trade crypto. I personally, though, just on a personal level, just stick with commodities, indexes, and Forex. But I do buy and hold crypto. So I'm buying a fair amount at the moment because it's on offer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, good discount.
Yeah.
Commodities, I'm quite interested to hear more about that. So how do is that like a bottle of whiskey? You buy it at a good price and then you sell it at double the price or whatever?
Yeah, again, I don't go down to smaller commodities like that, but that is an example of a commodity. So I mainly focus on gold, silver, and oil.
Okay.
And copper, because again, it's a massive volume market. Yeah.
And how would someone go and buy copper?
So you can, with all the brokers that we recommend, you can go and do that. If you wanted to actually buy like a copper holding in terms of owning it for owning copper for the long term, you could set up a stocks and shares account or something like that and buy it that way. If you want to buy physical copper, you could just go to a precious metals dealer and you can buy it there as well.
Okay. So could you repeat the commodities that you invest in again?
Yes. So for me, it's gold, silver, oil, and copper. High grade copper, to be specific.
Why?
Just because that's what I've always bought, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's so you don't do anything physically. It's all through brokers and
Gold and silver I do physically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do you store? Don't tell us exact location.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Under the bed. No, I'm joking. But
Yeah.
I do have it at my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case I ever need to. Yeah. In my shed. Yeah. Yeah. In my desk drawer. Yeah. No, but I do hide it. But yeah, if I want to be able to have access to it if I need it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Okay. All of it, or do you have some of it?
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And my address is.
So yeah, that's good. That's really interesting. I got a few questions from people who are going to view this or are viewing it. We've got a few live viewers.
Yeah.
You just a quick question on the back of you mentioned 14%, the case study who got 14%, and how long a period was he getting 14% for, you said? Because then it sort of levels out on average to about 6 to 7.
Yeah, so that was in his first month.
In his first month. Okay, yeah.
So just a month period that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's making about 6-7% per month consistently now.
Right. Yeah. Okay then. Okay. So one of the questions I had from someone was, what indicators do you use when trading? And to help anyone who's complete newbie, doesn't know what I even mean when I say indicators, please explain that as well.
Yeah. So an indicator is also known as like a price study, and it's basically a set of calculations that the broker makes and then throws it up in some form of graph or graphic for you to understand better what the market is doing. That's kind of what it is. Now there's hundreds upon hundreds of these that you can use. I like to keep my trading as simple as possible, and that's why my students can trade so successfully so quickly. It's because we keep it really simple. So I only use RSI, MACD, and moving averages, I suppose, count as a price study in a way. So I literally keep it to those. That's all. Just okay. Nice and simple. I have used like stochastics and stuff before, but it's not necessary.
Yeah. Okay then. So what are the three? Was it three? Sorry.
Yeah. So my main ones are moving averages, MACD, and RSI, which stands for Relative Strength Index. I don't use all of them at the same time though. I use different ones for different strategies.
Yeah. Right. And what does MACD mean?
Moving average convergence divergence, which basically means from the chart, the moving averages that I just mentioned, how much are they moving towards each other? How much are they moving away from each other?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And do you put in stop losses? And again, same thing, that's maybe jargon to people. So explain what that means and then explain if you use them, why.
So first of all, a stop loss is something which is when you raise an order. So when you enter the market, you can set it as an automatic get out point. So if the trade goes against you and you start losing money, your stop loss will automatically take you out, not losing more than you've dictated you're willing to lose. So that's what stop loss is. Do I use them? Yes, I have never placed a trade without one. Nobody should ever place a trade without a stop loss. It's how we protect ourselves in the markets. Yes. So yeah, the reason people blow accounts, one of the primary number one top reason how people blow accounts is not using stop losses. So none of my students who follow my risk rules ever have blown an account. And actually my guarantee to all my students is if you follow our risk rules, you will never in a million years lose all of your money from your account. It's mathematically impossible the way that we manage risk. Yeah.
That's one thing I like about the sound of your course, and the way that you teach people is you try to minimize risk.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Big time.
It's a big focus of yours. Yeah. Which is, I think, a big solution to a lot of the reason why people hold back on ever investing in general is not knowing how to insure themselves. So stop loss is kind of like your own way of insurance. Yeah,
exactly. And it's how we stay low risk but high reward, and it's the most important thing. It really is.
Yeah. So you're you're creating by getting involved and having a stop loss, you've got the potential upside, but not the downside, essentially.
Yeah.
Which sounds too good to be true, but it's true.
Yeah.
So the question on stop losses as well was, I think that was really that he was asking, do you set up stop losses? Is that something that you would put in place all the time? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, has to be.
And also, when you're buying and selling, do you buy all in or do you buy gradually? And do you sell gradually? And how does the stop loss do that for you?
Yeah, so a couple of things on that one is that they are, you can set how much you want to risk. You should never, ever go all in. That's not what we're doing here. We're not buying stocks and shares for a long-term play. We are shorter term traders. So we're in a position for a few days to a few weeks. And so we always cap our risk per trade at 1%. And that is 1% of your entire account balance. So if you have a £10,000 account balance, you're only risking per trade £100. Now you could turn that £100 into another £100 profit, or 200 or 300 or 400 pounds profit, depending on what level of skill set you are and what the market's allowing you to do with that particular trade. But again, that's how we can be low risk to high reward. So we only ever risk 1%, but we stand to make back at least a profit of 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, whatever it is we then set it to. So,
right. Yeah. Okay then. And do you use your whole leverage liquidity? I think that's a similar question.
No. Right. So first of all, we don't trade off of leverage, and we don't trade off of margin, other than the fact that the broker automatically applies margin to your trades to make sure you're not over risking. So when I first started, that wasn't a thing, in sense of the broker wasn't legally having to protect your account to some degree. So you could risk half of your account on one trade if you wanted to. Now, the maximum you can risk on a single trade would probably be about 4%, 5%. So they brought it right down, but that's still too much generally. So we don't trade using leverage. We just trade the market. If you're trading Forex, it's already a leveraged market, technically, as in within the broker system itself. So you're not ever buying fully into the market, you're buying a portion of the market. So it's already technically leveraged, but you're not leveraging your money. The market itself is leveraged.
Yeah. Okay then. And where do you think fiat will be in 10 years? Do you think we'll still be using it? Or do you think we'll be moving to a digital currency or a new currency? What's your thoughts on the future of money?
I really don't know. I don't like trying to predict the future. I really don't. I personally think fiat currency will still be around. Do I think that crypto and digital currencies will be more in circulation and more in use? Yes, I do. But I don't think fiat is going to disappear.
Yeah. And just so everyone understands, when we say fiat, is essentially the printed money that we use to exchange goods and buy services and products. That what I'm asking is, will that still exist? Okay. An interesting thing about the indicators versus trends in the market, like if Elon Musk says that he's now trading with crypto and it changes the market, or something like that, like a celebrity or a large corporation or company, involved with your indicators and signals, is this something that you keep an eye on as well, like news and being up to date with the markets in that way?
No, I don't bother.
Okay.
I'm only trading for 30 minutes a day, and I trade using pattern recognition. So if you're trading, if your style of trading is based solely on news announcements, you're going to lose money. You just are. You're gambling. You can't create historically tested strategies and processes based off of random news announcements or what Elon is doing next.
Yeah.
So I like to think our style of trading is Elon Musk proof, because even if he puts a tweet out there or something, we've got our stop losses in place to protect us if it causes the market to go in the wrong direction. But also, if it's going that crazy, the process we have in terms of our strategies and our systems, it won't meet the criteria we need. So we wouldn't even be in the market at that point. So we're protected. And because we're making money as markets go up, and we're also making money as markets go down, we are newsproof and we're recession proof as well in terms of this skill set of making money.
Right. Okay then. And I also had a question about the passiveness of this, but I think we kind of covered some of that, like sort of the time involved in the passiveness, but I think we answered that. So a couple of things that I brought up earlier was when outside of trading and then back into like sort of other investments like art and property, when you look at art, what do you look for? Like you said, that a story is important behind it.
Yeah.
What makes, let's say, this picture more valuable than this?
Yeah.
Because again, when I look at art, and you look at art, it's subjective as well. So what causes an influx of people to want this one over this one?
Yeah. So I don't really know the answer to that. It's similar to the markets in the sense, the financial markets, that it's all based upon mass group psychology. So how are people perceiving the value of that piece? So a lot of it in the art world just comes down to PR. It really comes down to just that. But if you buy art from specific places, then it's guaranteed to stay at that value because they'll have exclusive selling rights. So they just won't ever sell anything lower.
Right.
And it's a little bit of luck finding an artist, getting in early to their early pieces. And then if they grow in popularity, then your piece becomes worth a lot more as well.
Right. Okay. And travel, I would quite like to talk a wee bit about that before we go, because I know we're going to have to go in about 5 minutes. What about travel? Like what's some of the places you've traveled to, and with this sort of lifestyle trading, explain how that works. Is it just all on the laptop? It's totally, it allows you that freedom to leave your place in London and not return for a few months?
Yeah, it literally is laptop lifestyle. People think you need like 10 screens to trade with. You don't. When I'm at home, I have 2 screens, but when I'm traveling, I have just 1 screen, and that works perfectly fine. I mean, in 1 year, I went to 13 different countries. That was good fun. So I've been to all over America, Canada, South America, Africa, many parts of Europe, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, Malaysia. Haven't actually made it to Australia yet. And one of the big places on my bucket list is Iceland. I've not been to Iceland yet. Not the supermarket, the country. So I really want to get over to there, do the Northern Lights thing. I'd love to go to Lapland as well. That's kind of on my to-do list. Yeah.
And see, do you always need an internet connection? That might sound like a silly question, but like thinking about traveling and doing certain things, is there like where do you fit in that 30 minutes, let's say, when you're maybe in a remote area? Yeah.
It's very unlikely that you won't have at least 3G. And I can just connect hotspot off my phone on 3G and do that. If I know I'm going to be going somewhere particularly remote, either I just won't trade that day or I'll do something that remote at the weekend when I'm not trading anyway.
Right. Okay, then.
So it's rare that I go to places that are that remote. If I'm going somewhere that remote, I'm actually going for a holiday and I'm detaching from everything. I don't feel the need to trade when I'm on holiday.
Okay. Yeah. So it is something you can walk away from for a week and not have to keep your eye on the ball all the time. Yeah. And in that week, would you lose money, or can you set up anything in place where you would lose less of the 100% that you would lose, if that makes sense?
It doesn't quite make sense, but no, if you're not placing trades, you're not making or losing money. You may miss out on opportunity. But that's the same if you do a holiday anyway. So you could miss out on opportunity, but you're not technically going to be losing money because you're on holiday. To make that question, because you said it was confusing, I agree. An example is I have 2 phones. One is incoming leads, and if I answer those calls and I make a commission off of them,
I will make money. If I leave that phone and I don't answer it, I won't make money. One of the ways that I can make sure if I go on a month holiday is if I divert those calls and sell those leads at maybe 50% below what I would make a commission on, instead of making 20%, I'll maybe make 5% or 10%. So is there any system in that way that you could maybe delegate or use a system to make something while you're not there?
There probably is a weird convoluted way you could do that. But technically no. So the only way that I am kind of getting around that is what we're doing at STARTrading now is when we have students who are consistently profitable and successful, we're starting to fund their accounts now. So technically off of their trading, I can start to make profit. So even if I'm on holiday, if that makes sense. So that's kind of one way I'm getting around that, but I don't mind too much. I don't want to live too much in a worried panic if I take a week off. I'd rather be able to just take a week off.
Okay. That's I'm sure like if you're able to make that sort of like 6 up to 14% return, then you've got you can afford to take some time off.
And some traders take whole months off. Because they just don't want to trade for that month. Or they know over the past 5 years that month is their lowest performing. So they just don't bother trading that month of the year.
So they pick that. There's one question that's come in before we go. It was Dale who actually gave me quite a few of the questions for today. Do you ever use Bollinger Bands?
Bollinger Bands? No, I don't. No.
Okay. What does that even mean? Sorry.
It's another price indicator. It's another one of the calculation things, and it kind of wraps around price to show you where there's going to be potential movement or stop of movement and then return on itself and that type of thing. But no, I don't. People I can show people how to use that as a tool, but I don't personally use it.
You stick to these three things. Okay. Well, I think we've run out of time anyway. I appreciate your time and sharing all this value with everyone.
It's a pleasure.
If anyone has any comments on the back of this, please leave your feedback. We'd love to hear it. How can people find you, Lewis?
So best way is on Instagram, or obviously we're live on Facebook, so you can just follow me from here or send a friend request. I have a Facebook group for like a free Facebook group for people who want to learn more about trading, where I post stuff in there every single week. Those are probably the two best ways.
Okay.